Hi everyone, welcome to Border Tanks with stewiejp. I'm Stewie and this is another Clan Wars replay. As I'm still having a few problems with the settings on OBS. This is another Clan Wars replay featuring 1AR. 1AR this time, playing against Tim, the Mortals. Try saying that after a few sherbets. But this replay is from Struth's point of view. Struth is the commander, I think, of 1AR. And one of the most active clans on the Clan Wars map, 1AR, as you can see this time they haven't bought 7 artilleries, they've just bought the 2, a Conqueror, gun carrier, and the big German GW E100. As well as that, they've bought 5 medium tanks, the Centurion Action X, 3 Object 140s and the T62A, and the rest heavies. A mouse, 4 E5s and 2 of the 113s. Now, looking at the minimap, you can see the vast majority of 1AR's forces have pushed up the northwestern region of the map, and they're lighting up some of Tim's forces up at A5 pretty well, it must be said. The Mortals, they've chosen to bring, it looks like, a couple of medium tanks, majority heavy tanks. Most of the tanks that have been spotted have been heavy tanks, D5s, IS7s, T57 heavies. Of course, T57 heavy, that can often be used as a little bit of a media with it. It's got its auto loader. Struth not too lucky in his ability to penetrate shots, but at the moment, I think it's early days. They're just looking at trying to light up some enemy tanks. Geordie Bro getting nice and aggressive with his 113, and of course, even though he's copping a bit of damage, he'll be keeping those tanks lit up. Quite a few familiar names in 1AR's lineup. Of course, Geordie Bro and Struth, very active players. Jimmy Jim, who we see from time to time. Ozpanzer Ace, he was featured in the El Haloof replay, as well as Moose Knuckle and quite a few others. Unlucky not to penetrate the shot into the side of the IS-7, but at 2-1, even though Geordie Bro's been taken out early, which I'm sure the Tim guys would be pretty happy about that, the Tim down by a tank. They've lost an E5 and an STB-1, the Japanese medium tank. So right now, it looks to me, looking at the minimap, the E5s and the IS-7 at C1, C2, where Struth is, they're sort of providing a bit of an anchor point. Those the Object 140, the E5, the 113 and the T62A, which are a little bit more forward, and they're using the ridgeline as a bit of cover. They're keeping those heavy tanks lit for those 2 artilleries, and they guarantee that big German and British artillery piece will be aiming in at A5. The mouse on the minimap again. The mouse is heading up the 9 line to look at the traditional place where heavy tanks go, at least in random battles. But in Clan Wars, it all seems to happen in the northern part of the map. Struth looking for the kill shot on that enemy E5. Not lucky enough to penetrate the shot, but Ozpanzer Ace does the job, bringing the score up to 3-1. And looking at the way Geordie Bro's pinging the map, pretty safe bet to say he's calling this. He's a very active caller, and he absolutely loves calling his Tier 10 Clan Wars. 5-1 is the score as Steel Rain and his big German artillery takes out the enemy IS-7. Jimmy Jim gets rid of Rainbow Assassin, the commander, in his IS-7. And with the lead of 5-1, it's time to push into these guys. 5-2 is now the score. Struth only lucky enough to pick up 455 hit points of damage so far, but he'll get stuck in pretty soon. Coming up over this ridgeline to try and get some shots into the American autoloaders on the enemy side. Struth gets a shot in, but takes one in return, and rather than pulling back, he's going to push forward to allow his teammates a bit of room to get past. Bounces a couple of shots, but does take 306 damage from the Object 160, Object 140. 7-2 is the score. Bounces more. These American tanks just love bouncing damage, especially over a ridgeline. Gets pushed around a little bit by Fridge 64. He's got a couple of dead crew members. He finally gets taken out by T57 heavy, I think it was, but with the score an 8-4. And I'll just sort of go around on free camera mode for a second. You can see it 8-4. That IS-7 and the E5 are really bullying that T57 heavy. 9-4 is now the score, and these other tanks up in this area. They're keeping these campers lit up because when the score's 10-4, you really need to play a little bit more conservatively. And also you can see the Tim boys have bought one of those STRVs 103Bs, the big Swedish, what are they called? Tank destroyers, the new ones. Artillery's getting lit up, and when you light up the enemy artillery, you can tell it's pretty much game over. The STRV's copping a bit of flack. One of the artilleries gets taken out. Looks like it was a tier 9 artillery, but still, I suppose it's a pretty good one. Both artilleries tier 9 actually, M53, M55. And now it's just a bit of a clean-up mission from the 1AR lads on Arctic region with 13-4, and now in this part of the game, just clicking around, having a look at everybody else's point of view. And that last Swedish tank destroyer will be wishing he was somewhere else at the moment, as artillery drops a big German shell, British shell on his head, and picks up the last win of the game. Always good to see the last tank get taken out when you're at any, doesn't matter what tank you're in, but not a bad result from 1AR nonetheless. As I get the next game ready for your viewing pleasure, we got, you can see, Struth didn't have the best game of his life, but a good spread of damage by the 1AR lads. Object 140 is really coming into the game, lighting up those enemy tanks and pumping in some damage. SF Stewiejp picking up over 2,000 spotting damage. Ice the Pet, 4,000 hit points of damage. The Arties definitely doing their job, 2,800, 4,000, and plenty of other people putting in some pretty good results. As we move on to the second game in this double shot of Tier 10 Clan Wars action. Again, it's on Arctic region, and I'm told that it's the same block of land. Of course, this replay was sent to me from Rainbow Assassin. Rainbow Assassin, the commander, or at least I think he's the commander of Tim, the Immortal Mortals, and he sent me a message not long ago saying I heard a rumour that 1AR starting to send you replays. I'd like to send you some replays as well. And of course, this is the same block of land, and it's the same lineup, or the same two clans anyway, except this is where Tim take the piece of land back on the Clan Wars map. You can see the Rainbow Assassin has moved into a nice spotting position in the middle of the map, sort of at G6. This isn't a bad spot that you can use to try and light up, especially even in random battles, light up whoever might be camping on this TD ridgeline. And occasionally you might spot the heavies there, but not from where he is. If you move around the other side, you might spot the heavies coming through. And looking at the minimap, you can see that again, the majority of Rainbow Assassin's forces are heading up the northwestern part of the map, the Object 140s, and all the heavy tanks. And all the heavy tanks are 3 T11 OE5s and 2 T57 heavy tanks. The STRV 103B, which Tim are sticking with, is on the traditional sniping position on Arctic region at F4, and you can see by the amount of pinging the map that Rainbow Assassin's doing, I'm pretty confident in saying that he's the one doing the calling. Now he gets spotted at his bat chat, so he moves out of there, and of course 1AR love their artillery pieces, and we'll see how many artillery pieces they bring to this battle. Rainbow moving back to try and give that grill a little bit of vision. And again, they're sticking with the M53, M55 as a tier 9 artillery piece, and of course the big Russian Object 261, which I'm not that far off getting myself. Hopefully I can be of some use to my clan in tier 10 Clan Wars using the big Russian. Anyway, the M60 gets lit up, Ozpanzer race, and cops a massive shot. Clearly artillery was already aiming on that piece of land. Object 907, the reward tank, gets lit up. And again, looking at the minimap, those Object 140s getting nice and aggressive up here. And of course, if there's going to be a camp, sometimes you can get these medium tanks into here, and Rainbow Assassin pinging the map, directing them to go up and get spots on whatever enemy tanks might be up towards the base. And a ping back to the southern side. It looks like he's directing the Object 261 to reposition, and in order to try and get shots, maybe on that T11 OE5, which has just been lit from 1AR. As I have a very quick mouthful of coffee. Rainbow Assassin not seeing a great amount of action. Normally I'd go to free replay mod and free camera in the replay mod, but I've had a few issues with replays, and so I've just gone totally vanilla now, and I reckon that's the way I'm going to stay. 0-0 is still the score. Rainbow Assassin gets lit again, but looking at where Tim's medium tanks are, and even the E5s, they're getting nice and aggressive, lighting up the 1AR tanks, which are clearly 1AR are the owners in this land, and they've decided to camp it a little bit, which is a valid strategy on Arctic region. Now these tanks just in front of where you can see Rainbow Assassin, they're going to be proxy spotting these tanks on the traditional tank destroyer ridgeline, and Rainbow Assassin gets some nice side shots into the Swedish tier 10 tank destroyer, picks up the kill, takes the reload, and he's probably taking the reload because he's thinking, oh, he's going to reposition and probably reevaluate the map, being that he's calling as well. He might take the 30 odd seconds that it takes for the Batchat to reload to speak to his players and get them to relocate. Looking at the minimap again, the grill looks like the grill down the bottom is repositioning and probably going to get up here to assist the Object 140, and the big Swedish STRV meatball tank, the 103B, looks like he might be moving as well up the two line by the looks. We're probably going to go over here to look for some shots, or maybe even move right up to where these T57 heavy tanks are. A lot of picking the map going on, and with two artillery pieces, you can hear the artillery pieces from Tim going off in the background. Now Rainbow Assassin here, now this is trying to do a little bit of a boost here with his mate Tiger Daryl and Sard, trying to give him a bit of a push up here. He's obviously been watching a few team efficiency replays, and the artillery players doing the right thing, hitting the F8 key to let their teammates know how long their reload is, and letting them know what tanks they might be aiming at. Now it looks like Rainbow Assassin just picked up 632 hit points of spotting damage on that E3, but it looks like he's taken another reload. He's reloading gold this time. Of course, the Batchat, he's got the APCR is the standard rounds, which does 390 hit points of damage, 259 pen, and of course the heats rounds, 330 pen. But useless against spaced armor, so he needs to be mindful of that when he's shooting at these enemy tanks. Blocks a shot from the E5. Always a pleasure to block a shot from a heavy tank when you're in a Batchat, and he's willing that gun to load as he's lining up the E5. First shot goes a little bit wide, second shot goes high, third shot lands it, and fourth shot bounces, fifth shot puts him in, takes him down to 62 hit points, and he gets finished off by the Tiger Daryl in the Object 140, bringing the score up 3-zip. Now Rainbow Assassin's on the reload again. They're going to have another go at getting up here. It looks like he's a little bit more successful this time, but he's not trying to get shots on the enemy teams. He's just trying to make sure they continue to be lit. Jezeliko, your beauty in the 7201K. Looks like he's blocking plenty of damage there. The mouse down to 315 hit points. T62 on 357. And now again, the STRV 103B takes the mouse out of the game. Artillery finally gets lit up. It's Von der Burglar in his Tier 9 American artillery piece, and Steel Rain in the German. Pretty much all of the 1AR boys have been lit up now, and you can see it's an absolute camp fest. Looking again at the mini-map, the Object 261, right down the southern part of the map, probably looking at shots on these heavy tanks, as the Rainbow Assassin cops a shot from the T62A, and he can't help himself. He's got to put some shells into the enemy artillery, just like in a random battle. When you see artillery and you're in a medium or a light tank, you go absolutely haywire to try and take the arty out of the game. And now the medium tanks, as well as the STRV 103B, moving around the cap circle to get a totally different angle on these 1AR tanks, and Tim Lad's really pumping the damage in now. Rainbow Assassin now on the reload in his Batchat, but he is still doing the job by keeping these tanks lit. Sard in his Object 140 on a fair amount of health, takes a foot more forward position, and he wants to use the gun depression on that on that Russian medium tank to try and get a few shots into the E5s. A couple of those E5s on pretty high health there. Tambana on 2200 is on full health. But those arties would only have eyes for the E5s. Tambana gets ammo rack taken out by the STRV 103B meatball tank destroyer. And now Rainbow Assassin looking for a little bit more damage, but they're doing the right thing. These Tim players, they're rotating their hit points quite well, and bearing in mind tank locking, as I said in the last 1AR replay, tank locking is back. So this is a fight for a province. So if you get killed, win, lose or draw, your tank's out of the game for the next few days, depending on the tier and depending on the tank type. But 12-1 is the score, and the Immortal Mortals comfortably taking this one out. 3-1, looking for their last couple of shots on the last two tanks. Picks up some spotting damage on the kill for Armor Girl, and the IS-7 picks up the last kill to win a pretty comprehensive victory in the end, 15-1 from the Immortal Mortals. As we have another very quick look at the post-game battle results. It doesn't look like a bad game from Rainbow Assassin. Comes second into the scoreboard, mainly due to a lot of that spotting damage. The big Swedish meatball tank topping the scoreboard as far as damage goes. Also 2300 spotting damage, 5597 damage. That's not too bad at all. Rainbow Assassin picking up nearly 2700 hit points of damage and a little bit of... I thought it would have done more spotting damage than that 710 because he was lighting up some enemy tanks, but a good spread of damage from the heavy tanks. And of course artillery only doing 1000 hit points of damage. Very unusual for an arty not to be right up there in the damage count. Not a bad game for the Object 261, but he did spend a little bit of time relocating. But he picked himself up 2 kills, and it was more than enough to win the game. But all in all, a couple of pretty good replays featuring 1AR and Tim, 2 of the Aussie Kiwi clans on the Asian server on Arctic region, fighting out for that province. And as usual, always appreciate clan war replays, and the fans absolutely love it. More than happy to put more videos up from your clan wars battles, as long as you're allowed to send them. Anyway, thanks for the watch. Thanks for the replays, lads. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and see you all next time.